course, it's not just Scottish and English councils that are being elected on this Thursday, but councils in Wales as well, and perhaps most significantly, legislative assembly elections in Northern Ireland, which could result in a historic shift in power. The Irish nationalists Sinn Féin are polling 7 points ahead of the DUP. We're likely to see for the first time in the history of the province nationalists placing first ahead of the unionist parties. Well, who better to talk through this now with the former First Minister of Northern Ireland and GB News presenter Arlene Foster. Welcome to the programme, Arlene. I suppose we've sort of baked in this assumption that Sinn Féin is going to place first. But I suppose there'll also be a lot of adding up in terms of which unionist parties, when added together, will actually be ahead versus the ordinary first-past-the-post way of doing things.
Well, it's good to be with you, Tom. And I think the first thing to remind our viewers and listeners of is the fact that, of course, in Northern Ireland, we have a different type of devolution than the rest of the United Kingdom. We have what's called mandatory coalition. So over those years, all of the parties, all of the larger parties have actually been in the Northern Ireland Executive: Sinn Féin, DUP, SDLP, Ulster Unionist Party and the Alliance Party. But I think what you're alluding to is the fact that always throughout those years, the Unionist Party, the DUP, since 2004 has been the largest Unionist Party and the largest party in Northern Ireland. Now, I've seen many polls which have been talking about the global picture across Northern Ireland, saying that Sinn Féin are ahead. But of course, this is a PR election. Each constituency has 5 seats to fill, and whilst you can probably predict the first 4 of those seats, it's the last seats that will be critical in determining who will come out as the largest party. And some of those seats will change hands. I think we will be watching very closely some of the constituencies to see what will happen, and it's all down to transfers and what people do with those transfers. So that will come on Friday and possibly into Saturday, but I think it's still all to play for despite the polls. I think because, as I say, that's a global picture, and actually what you should be looking at is at each of the different constituencies and where there is the possibility of change.
Yes, and I suppose very few votes might shift things. There might be some really quite frustrating results for either side when we're looking at those final seats in each constituency. I do wonder, though, how much we're looking through this through the lens of unionism versus nationalism, when some parties that are openly ambiguous on the question of the Constitution seem to be gaining as well. The Alliance Party is expected to do better than they traditionally have done. Is this going to be an election less on the Constitution than we've seen in previous years?
No, I think it's very much on the Constitution, and actually, of course, the Northern Ireland Protocol has made that very critical as well. Sinn Féin, of course, if they become the largest party, will use that mandate to argue for a border poll, even though all of the evidence points to the fact that there is no majority for a united Ireland in Northern Ireland. But they will use it to cause division, and they will use it to call for a border poll. So I think that is very important to remember. Yes, the Alliance Party is doing very well, performing very strongly in all of the polls that have been taken. But so is the TUV, Tom. The TUV is the party led by Jim Allister. He at the moment just has 1 seat in the Northern Ireland Assembly, which has 90 seats overall. But he hopes to increase that number given his polling. But again, it depends on what the transfers do.
Yes, it seems to be that the DUP's vote is sort of sliding to the TUV. To some extent, the UUP vote is sliding to Alliance. There's a stratification in Northern Ireland. But I do want to just talk in a final minute on the practicalities of what it would actually mean for Sinn Féin to come first. Of course, the First Minister and the Deputy First Minister, despite their names, are equal positions in the executive.
Yes, so the First Minister just sort of indicates who is the leader of the largest party, Deputy First Minister, the second largest party. But actually, when they're in office, they have the same roles and the same responsibilities. And actually, it's a joint office. So First Minister can't take a decision without the Deputy First Minister agreeing, and vice versa. So it can be quite a battle in that office. And no doubt we'll see that in coming days. But Tom, I do have to say, I don't expect the executive to come back immediately, because because of the difficulties around the Northern Ireland Protocol, I think there will be talks after this election.
Well, it looks like it'll be more symbolic than anything else, but certainly fascinating results to watch through over this weekend. Arlene Foster, thank you so much for talking us through all those on the briefing this morning.